Adeshimama yamamunye na adwo emama kwaba eba United Television ye studios a worship house abeka junction no nsia kasebwe no semufa so no so dia man ya dohwe ba kwa da ni me eja kwabena me ne nana ekia kobi ye de ba besom ye ka mu se kasebwe e social media platforms no nyina no enam so wo ko DSTV o channel 360 didi mu akotini bi na edidi so yi donc mo amna shebe dwom e kire se ya kwan contract ya hodo a big push hyehyɛ no aban fo mu nkratasam emra abonten na sabre ya yekasa ide European Peace Facility womo edisika 5 million euros ene sabre ya yekasa womo ede support eye Ghana ewo eye peace ensensemu na yema pedi na akokasa wa amama nkabu nkunhyem kasi ase ewo America memu na papa ne sebo de to dwane kyese abibiman omabu yakwase ya hye na bra so se omabibi edemaye Bank of Ghana and Africa Kuku na Sabria Kasei Womo Ada year 2026 3i Africa Summit adi. Na big question some ya and now so for share quantipon some so chire say don kumani ha omani kasa dodo. Na some mo kan nyina control do man no omo de ma kwan paso omo anye bukata biya. Na wasi COVID-19 inti ye sesan mu kakra no sabria ye kasai May June wasi no woman sanso e dia babium inti sabri die May June wasi no ye hyase anesa ensemi e ka we no ho na ye de bram se kasebo ye kam say aboafo a special eyes this way and afi ni fufu ani neat abekwan afi kasebo ne musam ye Eshem kase bi ekoso ewo America man mu sanshem kase mama nkabo mu ko no shem kase ba ko pa na ye man pani His Excellency John Dramani Mahama enso akonshem na sibi na bra man pani ekaso dwumadi na so de tudwa echirim se nukure nie wo hwe abibre mu a ebetuma kase before na kwachichi Europe esan so mefa na no monkoa ekoye kurutu nyuma de boa ya ma Europe ama hudo ni nyina etumi gira mo nan so na bra so se de atentere ne ema bibiman sanse sa nkwaso omde ekomu no omo hadwene ye papapa ema ye nanananom ehuna mane pa ente bra so se mutwe bibi ete sa se atentre no omde bama ye nanu achi kura so no empatasika mu odu ne so omde ma bibi man sansaka bibi man amwo anka Europe bibi omo no akomu nuru ho.
The legendary American jazz player Miles Davis said, and I quote, "It's not the notes you play, it's the notes you don't play." When it comes to the contributions that Africa has made to enriching Europe and building the so-called New World, the silence is deafening. We have paved roads through mountains, we've put down railroad tracks, we've constructed buildings, laying brick after brick, we have cut sugar, cane, we've picked cocoa and cotton, we've descended into mines to unearth precious metals and stones, and we have wet nurse babies. We've paid the price of admission with the blood of our ancestors, and still what greets us at the door is silence. What we're met with is mythology.
In recent years, the international community has given greater attention to questions of historical accountability and the rights of people of African descent across Africa and throughout the diaspora. Efforts are underway to document and preserve the historical evidence of slavery and the transatlantic slave trade. Governments, scholars, civil society organizations are working to recover archival records, lived testimonies, and material artifacts that bear witness of this history. Initiatives such as Barbados Reclaiming Our Atlantic Destiny Road Program illustrate how societies are seeking to safeguard these records and ensure that voices long silenced by history are documented and remembered. It is within this broader context that today's high-level special event has been convened. The gathering offers the international community an opportunity to reflect collectively on the historical realities of the trafficking in enslaved Africans and the racialized chattel enslavement of Africans.
Sabri ya yakasa die European for womo ena sabri woma babe ye Ghana do ye 50 million euros na sa euro ya womo ede dum Ghana ni na ne say asumdue peace a ye pe no o my Ghana eno omo de ma yen say yen fan support na asumdue ye hwehwe ne yensa etumi aka.
This occasion highlights the long-standing partnership between Ghana and the European Union as well as our shared commitment to peace, stability, and sustainable development. Today, we signed the Ghana European Union Security and Defense Partnership. The United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, Norway, and others have signed this partnership with the EU, and Ghana is the first African country to join them. This demonstrates the strengthening collaboration between Ghana and the European Union in tackling evolving security challenges, especially in our sub-region and across the Sahel. The government and people of Ghana acknowledge the European Union's support for Ghana under the European Peace Facility and the EU Security and Defense Initiative. I'm informed that there are over 30 security-related projects addressing conflicts, counterterrorism, border management, maritime security, and cyber security. Furthermore, the EU Security and Defense Initiative in the Gulf of Guinea has conducted about 40 training sessions for Ghana's military and civilian security actors while providing equipment for these forces.
The EU supports Ghana's military in the northern part of the country and beyond. And we support West African countries like Ghana in the Gulf of Guinea to counter terrorism, strengthen border security, and enhance maritime security. Because peace at our borders matters. Both the EU and Ghana face threats to peace and security. In different ways, we both face wars in our wider neighborhoods. And we have both constantly called for peace in Ukraine, in Sudan, in Sahel, in the Middle East. Russia's war on Ukraine is an existential threat for Europe, but it also has consequences that are felt beyond our borders, also here in Ghana. Beyond the economic consequences, Russia's unethical recruitment of African nationals preys on economic hardship. Your citizens should not be lured into a war that is not theirs.
Abenshi sheba kwande ba se na be ya kwan betumi akoyi enti otundi se big push no omo de be hwe ya Ghana kwan bebre na tumi makwane abedi akose de se siko pepepe sanse ye bre e wa continue mu na no na donko na shebe dwom de atudwa chem se sa big push hyehyeye no aban fa onkrata nyina na bonten se ne be ye bi hu se dwirim ne katahyehyɛ bia enim
yentia aban nu so ade hu opese ode sa policy e frɛ no eye big push eba na odi bia akwan mu no oma ya kwan ba bia se bi yedi dwakɔ ani ba bia mefa ne se ye tourist site wo no obema ɛhɔ akwan na ye yie ma omo mo pese omo kɔ no yentia na emom de ɛha yɛn kakra na ɛtwetwe aso ne se aban I a osisui o hwa emra na owo opposition no obo aban MPP aban kwa adu se ofa akuti kwa bi so a eye contract a ofa ya ode ma contractors omo ye kwan ho nyina no ofa eye sole sourcing and as single sourcing na ode ye na and this MPP aban ni kire mu se enya no kore nanso wo hwa de aban we ba ya o ya ebi nsi wo Ghana bakwasem so benya aban a bosome nson just 7 months obetumi award almost about 81 contracts under single source under big push sa contract we o kan buo nyina bomu a eye opepepepepe enson ni akire miensa 73 billion cedis or dollars Ghana cedi o de bad dollar mu a we are talking almost about close to about 6.8 to 9 billion dollars. This is the largest investment. Where is sika kese a Ghana ha ban bia mfanhye mu e wadwuma na ban de hyem na se o ye adwuma na o fa contractors na obema adwuma o de Ghana fo sika na eye na obema contract sei na umma Ghana fo nyina kwanya na mu mpribi obi anka se aban ntumi enye mfa kwan bi so enyusu eye single source emfanya adwuma nanso no ntumi emma contract a ye 107 na umfamu 81 emfa single source roto hwe aban wo opposition omo kansem bebre di tia akufo ado aban nanso ye man omo te se aban ne pese osiesie na ode abafu mfidie ba ne etumi agigi roto no na obi atumi tua bi aban ya osisu ndisi aban opposition den kansem gu eye na na do danko akufo ado aban ni mase atwen abo so ene omo ba aban omo hye Ghana fo bo se omo de omo ba ya omo ba bagigi to na omo ma Ghana fo mo ka biom na abanda dan wa ma Ghana fo aboka omo ka nsem 15 man down the lane busumi du num akiri aban yehu nhyehyɛ bia wa ye onye na dwen se opese oye ode san nhyehyɛ ne ba na yagige eye roto no a omo ka ho asɛm de gu eye MPP aban animu ase no.
Was our big push project in Sensemi and then so I'm a Minister of Roads and Highways Kwame Govern Abuja and they were in Sembi Atuja was say contract no emuda ho fine inti nsema wo mo ka de bi emuda ho nti obi anhwe wontie bia na so obi anhwe no won kan bi.
It is important to note that only 44% of all the major contracts included in the big push contract were awarded by the ministry under sole sourcing. 44%. So not what has been published by a certain online portal. We have also awarded over 400 different contracts through open competitive bidding, over 400, which is unprecedented because the record shows that from 2017 to 2024, almost all projects that the ministry carried out were sole sourced. Almost all the projects were sole sourced. It will therefore be mischievous for any right-thinking member of society to conclude that the Ministry of Road and Highways only procures work through sole sourcing. Mr. Speaker, I have already mentioned the deplorable state of the road network across the country we inherited from our colleagues. This had brought untold hardship to the motoring public and contributed massively to the food inflation. This led to public agitation and the survival of the state. Mr. Speaker, something needed to be done and done urgently. Mr. Speaker, with dedicated funding already secured under the Big Push program, was both prudent and necessary to proceed swiftly to ensure value for money and avoid cost overruns associated with long procurement and implementation timelines. Mr. Speaker, most of the project would not have started until date if we hadn't adopted a faster route. Mr. Speaker, let me state emphatically that when it comes to the Big Push program, Parliament exercised continuous oversight. Questions are answered regularly on the floor of the House. Independent professional bodies validated the project cost. Procurement processes complied with established legal framework. There is no abuse of the sole sourcing program. Unlike previous, it is an exception and not the norm. Indeed, no procurement law or any other law has been breached, and definitely there is no scandal.
Mr. Speaker, let's face it, when people get agitated and worried about sole sourcing, there is always, it's normally because civil society, stakeholders, and actors in the body politic seems to think that sole sourcing lends itself to opaque transactions. And by that, I don't refer to this instant case necessarily, but I'm saying that when people raise issues, why do you award such a contract through sole sourcing? The concern globally is normally because pundits feel that when it is sole sourced, the room for opaque transaction and underhand dealings is easier. The minister has come before us, Mr. Speaker. He's told us that he's done half of his contracts through sole sourcing. He's admitted it.
Yada so na sebedwa mu efa yakwan ho samsam yi na so afọ hwe yakwan na kwantepon samso no na no ansi ewo procurement law am chese wo mo emmusu ewo kwan bia so no wosane tudwa chirem se dom kuma ne ha omani dodo kansam anya no kore se de omo ye nyina no ese so sourcing or say atu something na dasem we kura no omo ko fefre hin nsema do to dwani.
Thank you for the opportunity to give an update of the government's flagship Big Push project to this House. Right Honourable Speaker, honourable members of this August House, I present to you an update of President Mohammed's flagship infrastructure development project, the Big Push. Mr. Speaker, may recall that President Mohammed dedicated the first 2 years of the Big Push program to address unprecedented deplorable state of our road network. Through the Big Push infrastructure program launched in 2025, the government is investing heavily in repairing critical roads, upgrading key economic corridors, creating jobs, and reducing the cost of doing business across all 16 regions. The program places strong emphasis on Ghanaian contractors and workers, helping to strengthen local technical expertise in construction sector. Mr. Speaker, the Big Push program has received strong support from Parliament so far. This House has approved nearly 50 billion for these multi-year road and bridge projects. We appreciate the support from leadership and members of this House. As I speak, Mr. Speaker, over 2,000 kilometers of roads in all 16 regions of our country are under extensive transformation. Mr. Speaker, in times past, we have all been concerned by the state of our roads, mindful of the amount of monies invested. In the spirit of probity, accountability, and transparency, we encourage the public to remain engaged in monitoring the project in their localities, and we always appreciate their constructive feedback. Mr. Speaker, recently, an online platform requested for details about ongoing road projects, and same was willingly and timeously provided. There was no attempt to conceal any information. I am grateful for the opportunity to update Parliament on the status of implementation of Big Push project, infrastructure project. Mr. Speaker, no ministry is subjected to as much consistent scrutiny as the Ministry of Roads. On average, about 10 questions are filed weekly, covering wide-ranging issues from contract awards to project costs and timeliness. The ministry also regularly gets invitation for committees of Parliament to respond to development within the sector. Mr. Speaker, I welcome the scrutiny. It strengthens accountability and ensures that we remain aligned with the expectations of Ghanaian people. I wish to assure the House that I take the responsibility entrusted in me with the utmost seriousness. I remain fully committed to delivering on our mandate with integrity, transparency, and efficiency. Mr. Speaker, prior to 2024 election, it was clear that majority of Ghanaians were not happy with the deplorable and dangerous nature of roads across the country. They made it a condition that when given the mandate, the government of President Mahama should take urgent and immediate steps to improve the country's road network. This has been justifiably followed by consistent questions of timeliness and from members of this House as to when the roads in their constituencies will be improved. Mr. Speaker, this is a House of record. Let me state unequivocally that all contracts awarded under the program were done in strict adherence to the Public Procurement Act and its accompanying regulations. Mr. Speaker, all contractual information is publicly available and on the ministry.
Na Sabria ye kasei Bank of Ghana NFA Ministry of Communications womo ni womo ekueku na womo kambuma womo alanche eye 2026 3I summit womo ede be hyehyso womo say 3I no eye innovation investment NFA impact na sa launch ya womo ate anu ya na so womo launch womo e kire say o my Ghana yesika sem no womo pekwan ya ebe fa so Africa ni na nso ebetumi etumpom.
So the 3I Accra platform was established on a simple but powerful premise. And the premise was that Africa's financial future will be strengthened when innovation, investment, and impact are brought into closer alignment. The inaugural summit demonstrated the scale of interest in that proposition and affirmed Ghana's ability to convene a serious continental conversation around digital finance, around fintech, and around the future of African markets. It is also why this launch matters, colleagues. It gives us the opportunity to begin that alignment early, before the summit itself convenes. What this requires, in practical terms, is a clearer focus on the foundational conditions that will determine whether Africa's fintech progress remains fragmented or becomes truly transformative. Stronger interoperability across systems and markets, investment in trusted digital public infrastructure, a renewed commitment to cross-border integration, and a strong continuous focus on inclusion.
Our focus is therefore on building a digital economy that drives job creation, promotes inclusion, supports enterprise, and expands opportunity across all segments of society. We're moving from fragmented interventions to a coordinated national effort, and this will be anchored by our data harmonization bill when it is passed by Parliament. This connects infrastructure, innovation, skills, and public service delivery into one integrated system. We will expand access to reliable, affordable connectivity and strengthen our digital public platforms, whilst also creating conditions for local innovation to thrive. This includes empowering the informal sector, which sustains millions of Ghanaians with digital tools and financial access. In this context, Fintech is central to our economic strategy. It enables participation, it lets farmers receive payments securely, and it allows small businesses to access credit. It helps young entrepreneurs to build solutions that scale beyond our borders. This year's theme, The Next Frontier, Shaping Africa's Integrated Fintech Future, challenges us to rethink and connect our systems across the continent.
Adishima ma UTV no nsia kasebo na wuhwe madama mama yankwaje agbafo nkratu edi kan yeba yebeto amuso.
Adeshima ma edam asese mo atwe amaya kwa ba yesre mo yeto akwase kase ebo no so amam.
Ye konsen fufuo na controller and accountant general department any interbank payment settlement systems a kind of gifts any crashing banks ahodoɔ ne banks nkuma any commercial banks makuma kwadu nu na organa hana kabom no sihye bia ba o matu ne din electronic fund transfer EFT system sa hyehyɛ yan hyehyɛ baba boa se ko ba se bia controller ma kwan se enyi sika bi mfimfiri bank bi nko bank bia anya fe ne be so de agu botom chobo de akọ na cars ping-pong na moto di anim ne etisa na mu no on be fa abe for kwan so aye etumi abo masikasam tutu yen so aye pashew.
Manual payment systems have exposed the public sector to delays, leakages, and weak audit trails. It is our view that every inefficiency in payment systems is a fiscal problem. This affects cash management, distorts budget execution, and ultimately undermines public confidence. That is why the government of President Mahama, through the Ministry of Finance, continues to prioritize reforms under the Public Financial Management Act, the Treasury Single Account Framework, and the ongoing GIFMIS reforms. The integration of GIFMIS with the GIPS platform to enable electronic funds transfer is therefore a major milestone. And we heard from the representative from Bank of Ghana. Currently, government is able to process all our payments from BOG accounts electronically. If we are doing it from the central bank, we can do it from all our accounts with the commercial banks as well. This brings efficiency, and I'm happy that our banks are committed to this and you are going to support us implement this. Quite clearly, this reform is about three things: accountability, efficiency, and when your time is due, per the schedule of rolling out of this program, commit, work with Controller and Accountant General's Department, work with the banks, and make sure that you are fully on board. Let me also emphasize that systems alone do not deliver results. Institutions and people must work with it. That is why collaboration is critical. The partnership between the Controller and Accountant General's Department, the Bank of Ghana, GIPS, and the commercial and rural banks is commendable. It demonstrates what is achievable when institutions work together in the national interest.
Under the agreement we are about to sign today, the GIFMIS platform will become the only authorized channel for payments by covered entities. GIFMIS will remain the primary source for managing and controlling public funds, ensuring all transactions are processed and validated before payments are effected through the EFT platform. Electronic funds transfer is no longer optional. It is compulsory. It offers speed, transparency, auditability, reduction of leakages and corruption, reinforces fiscal discipline, and most importantly, provides stronger control over public funds. As the Controller Accountant General Department, we are responsible for ensuring that every cedi spent is properly authorized, traceable, and accounted for. This reform strengthens that responsibility. The Service Life Agreement also demonstrates a strong commitment by all parties, that CAGD, GIPS, and the commercial banks, to maintain high standards of service delivery.
Sabreya ye di World Water Day yi ene nam so ama Works Housing and Water Resources Minister Honorable Kenneth Gilbert Eji odi atudwe chemu se aban na koma so ade pa se wo behwe ama obia enya nsupa anom ewo man Ghana mu.
Governments recognize that sustainable water management must be inclusive and equitable. Women are not only users of water, they are also managers, protectors, and decision makers in households and communities. Their voices, experiences, and leadership are therefore essential in shaping effective water policies and services. In line with this understanding, Government has relentlessly in its efforts to implement programs that expand access to safe drinking water, strengthen sanitation systems, and promote integrated water resource management. Through the efforts of the Ministry of Works, Housing and Water Resources, the Community Water and Sanitation Agency, Ghana Water Company Limited, Water Resources Commission, and other stakeholders, we have made significant progress in expanding access to potable water and improving sanitation services across the country. We have prioritized rural water supply, small town water systems, and the rehabilitation of urban water infrastructure to ensure that no community is left behind. Yet, as we commemorate World Water Day, we solemnly recognize that much remains to be done. Rapid urbanization, population growth, climate variability, pollution of water bodies, and unsustainable land use practices continue to place pressure on our water resources. These challenges require not only government action, but a collective responsibility. At the Ministry of Works, Housing and Water Resources, we remain steadfast in our determination to accelerate transformative change. Our development agenda is anchored on sustainable water management practices that underscore equity, efficiency, resilience, and environmental stewardship. Traditional authorities, civil society organizations, development partners, the private sector, and community members all have roles in safeguarding our water resources and ensuring equitable access. Let us also remember that water is not only a resource to be used, it is a shared heritage to be protected. The degradation of our rivers through pollution, illegal mining, and poor waste management threatens our national development and the well-being of our citizens. Protecting our water bodies must therefore remain a national priority.
Enra ye de kutia yarewa hodro mekyerɛ vaccines ahodro no mpempi no sakobase bi a yare bi no ho adi ewo bibimam ha enra ye de ebobobobo ye ho no ye ho mu chima aduokunu num 95% ye krafia manone eye vaccines no che covid ba ye nro ni nyina afia manone entobro measles and afi polio and ye kaka ho nyina no enra ye de wo ni nyina no ye krafia manone nano na bibemu apomdian benfo ekyere se ehunbehia pasa bibiman ye nya opɛ ne edi nsiye eka ho se enura ye vaccines ye krefia manone no ye beye mutudo no ha ye sase betumi aye ne sa ne betumi abo ankwankoba ne sa ne so kyena bi samanone fo na ma ye nuru na ne ye ni deni.
The context is that the African Union has set a target that by 2040, 60% of all vaccines and pharmaceuticals will be manufactured on the continent, from the current situation where over 99% of them are imported. So that's an ambitious target. And as you know, vaccine manufacturing is technically intense. It's also very capital intense. They need large amounts of monies. And as you heard from the presentation, we have over 10 billion in pledges. And yet we in Ghana are struggling to raise even $150 million for 2 vaccine manufacturers. And the point that I was making is that at the 39th ordinary session of the AU in Addis Ababa, the African heads of states themselves said that we need to have a sense of urgency and we need to focus on getting results. So the point is that this conference or this forum that we are organizing should be able to send a clear signal that manufacturers are ready, regulators are ready, the likes of the National Vaccine Institute are ready, and we need to be able to free the resources for the manufacturers to do what they have to do. You know, vaccines are not products that you have in the open market. It's the companies that will buy it, which is why we have to work through the regional and continental bodies. So the likes of ECOWAS, the likes of the AU, and fortunately the African CDC has an initiative they call a pool procurement mechanism. And ECOWAS from the WAHO presentation also has something that they're working on. We need to accelerate these efforts and to make sure that as products are coming onto the market, we sign off-takers way in advance of those products being manufactured. The heads of state themselves said that there is political commitment. Every time the matter of local manufacturing has come up, they have shown political commitment. In Ghana, President Mahama has allocated $50 million to support the manufacturing agenda. The AU has its champion for local manufacturing in President Ruto. So they are saying we want results. If it's commitment, we've already given you the commitment. And I think that that is very good. And we as technocrats or we as leaders of agencies and institutions need to lean into that support and run with it.
You realize that from the COVID-19, it became clear that countries cannot rely on other countries for their supplies. And so long as we produce just 1% of our vaccines in Africa, it means that whenever there are emergencies or pandemics, we will rely on other countries. So to help resolve that problem, it will be very important for us to manufacture our own vaccines and other medicine. And that is why Africa is putting in every effort to make sure that we can produce our own vaccines.
Greater Accra Regional Fire Officer ACFO Otosomienu eye Rashid Kwame Nisau wono ena sabe wode kokobo ama wo manfo nyina se wo sere wo mo se wo mo ba so wo mo bedum gya eni kwan so wo mo to wo mo hihye wo mo so no wo mo bro wo mo esan se mo na wo maba se wo mo bebo anto wo mo begya ya wo mo enyai.
As we reflect and celebrate the service of our dear comrade, I also wish to express the general public. The Ghana National Fire Service continue to record troubling incidents where firefighters are assaulted and fire appliances are vandalized during emergencies. Let me state emphatically, firefighters do not cause fire outbreaks. They come to help. Attacking them or destroying their equipment only worsens the situation and puts more lives at risk. I urge the public to support and cooperate with firefighters at all times, for their presence is to save lives and not to harm them. I would also like to use this opportunity to remind the general public that whenever they wish to engage the services of the Ghana National Fire Service, they should do so through the appropriate institutional channels rather than individual officers. This will ensure transparency, integrity and fairness, and we encourage all stakeholders to work with us in a manner that upholds such values. ACFO to Ivanso Seusu, your contributions to the Greater Accra Regional Command and the Ghana National Fire Service are deeply appreciated. Your legacy is secure, your impact indelible, and your service honorable. On behalf of the command, I say thank you for your loyalty, your partnership, and your years of exemplary service. May your retirement be peaceful, fulfilling, and blessed.
The journey has been one of ups and downs, very steep, smooth, rainy, sunny, very hot, sleepless, and happy memories all these years. These things wouldn't have been possible without assistance, advice, little cut and frown, care, protection, and big pushes from some individuals, some of whom are alive and others have joined their maker. If for any reason I stepped on any toes, please forgive me, for it was in the interest of the service.
Yetu akasa bono so na ye konkane so afo abedi akira wo hwe nkrase mpuntuo ho ensam so no nyamfo Martin James Akosa ode ato Ghana fo nyina anim se ye hwe aban krachefo awdo wo Ghana ha nyina ni bi sam se drip mfidie no wom de ye adwuma na so mo fanya adwuma omomu akonta me ye hwe
bia dadi pefe se aban empe se drip be ye adwuma isan se drip ye adwuma
contract and kabedi bema feeder routes a drip ye ho adwuma no am say nipa bi nya sa contract no sa na me hu no eti ye nya sika ento petrol fan mu drip mfidim ba ye nya sika de ma contract adwuma nka drip be ye 50,000 cedis beach mi koye no contract 1.2 million cedis nti weda ka chem so be nya sika a ye contract 1.2 million but we nya 50,000 emfa nye eye fueling for drip now no fear ha me no mo kasaye me throw question ebe down parliament say me person minister for local government obeyi ma no adentini ye ntumi mfa drip mfidi enye adwuma the minister ne kan of parliament ha e wo krata so ne say beba yan drip be yi ba free na so ye local government e dey call road ministry a be hwe say road management trust fund ni be piska dia kotua assemblies mabatin body trip aye adwuma yan kabia nshem na otwe sample maaye last week common fund administrator begina ha ade abayi be free local government di roads a minister na beka no say the wa make U10 say be nya sika abede be ma assembly say be fan operational drip under common fund it is so minister ne kan ha no na entro ne odi a kire Ghana man ana say bank sa ne be hu de be fa drip nye na local government china eco roads ade chie asanaba emra kura abede yes ha adanadane no wo enfa enti bibi a kire say drip afidie no be pese be de be adwuma eye $178 million ni aba fofo kotoba ye eye mfidie mono chiao mansini bia wo bigua e wo se nka ye mantemu ye de kurakura mampanyini wasra se opeso obo Ghana japade ene Ghana man ho ban we ka ho bi e wo se communities no start demand the answers. You see Ghana for say yankasa eti ho abebe ye ajibone say yakwan nye ye mantemu nko ya ye ne nam so ye ne yinim de etim say aban bi atomfidi aba na bi la won fanya adwuma ye mkisa ho nsem ye nka ho asem say ye transtra na ye nka ye be koso adi enti wodwene ho a where are our priorities?
Adeshima my best answer ejina we so ne ahomeka se bono so yesremu ye basisia.
Adishimama Adam Wasibio say Muchem Yakoto Graphic Asebono Yetwaso.
Yetwaso dia na African Center for Development Impact and Asabri di Mpenifo Adanedi na nini na ne se eba beboase ne ebe ya Africa ye emran hihye mu no etumi etumpon na Executive Director Prof Charles Amote wono na wakasai.
Na nyamia dom ye pa ACDIAD na ye adwuma bebre e wo Ghana any West Africa ye boa researchers any government na etumi generate what we call evidence for policy decisions. Na government spend sika bebre e wo different programs e bia health, education, infrastructure. Be ye nim say sa nyuma na government e di no e boa omayana na ye betumi akoso spend government resources on these projects. In the say yeboa conducting research on these government programs, and I've yet to me advise the government whether these programs are working or they are not working, and whether there's a need to make changes. In the say we are supporting governments across Africa to generate and use evidence to inform policy decisions. In the next steps, say you be training a lot more local researchers. You be researchers from Africa. African research. And per se, decisions are informed by foreigners. They say, Ghana, we are over almost 70 years, until we should be able to take policy decisions, use local researchers and evidence to inform our policies.
Ofa ebibima Ghana hanom ye ni national development plan, ye ni plan bia a long term. So usually the policy makers no so mo be decision bia maya they try to policy makers no.
Ekuo bi efra mu challenging height for chese nkwada yedomo
201. Se edeyi kan adwuma ya ye abesen kosensa challenging height ye hya no chere ya fa mofra a wo da tibeni mu ya fa nkokro 2,888 in the last 20 years. Na the mofra ya fa won last year. Enya Ghana mofra nkoti ye the so fi Nigeria. What one fi Nigeria the one ba ye adwuma wo ha. Na wo hye won there onka ye etutu bra na ebimu nso wo don fa kwan bi a o there wo ye dem computer fraud na di wo force one ma wo ye na wona wo fi Nigeria ba ne ze ye wo nyina akọ nka na ze wo ye Ghana funinti ye rehabilitation ama wo ha na eyi chede se yetum ye mia ye nyi na ye boa police full Department of Social Welfare wo botu no wedi djuma oyezin na wo da so demo human trafficking wo da so anu because djuma za ye di ni na oyedam kofi Ghana Police Service Department of Social Welfare, Migration, Navy na ye won ye nanso wonyi sika wo de ye adwuma na wo ye no inti time bia no na won wo kire won se bibumpo na wo de won konko asum na wo de wo kafa won na o se na sika unyi wonti wontumi ye inti esre na ya kabiem de mede bia mekan de yentwa sika botin anyeye kura 20 million na yemfa madam agency na won fanzi won dwuma mo baya wo botu na wo da ye ma ofata de wo ye na wo de bo ma fron ban titiru.
Health Facilities Regulatory Agency and Asabria womu kase womu chirima womu say Tamale Central Hospital and no war Northern Region no ahudidie enshada enko yie kura wo honti benifo enhwe na womu eni hujuma.
Regarding the issue at the Tamale Central Hospital, also known as the Northern Regional Hospital, EFRA is aware. As we speak currently, our team is at the hospital doing their own assessment, meeting management. We understand that there are very serious unsanitary conditions there that has infection prevention risks for patients, and that doesn't make the facility quite safe. We understand that management is working on it, but we are also assessing the situation, and very soon we will come out with a decision on Tamale Central Hospital. At the end of the day, it's about positioning it in a way that will make patient safety a priority and make sure that they come out better to provide quality health care to the people of Ghana. Yes, so one of the problems is that they are not able to pay them, and I think that yes, they need help, and I'm hoping that they are looking for the help. But for us as regulators, we want to make sure that they are in the position to provide care. Your financial capabilities is one of the things you need to provide quality care. So if you cannot buy consumables, you cannot pay your staff, then you shouldn't be providing care. It becomes unsafe.
Nanse na bebeto dwa se Burkina Faso aban ne kyerese tomatoes oman Ghana yekofa Burkina de ba no enya de a ombepene atanwoman yebio wo hwe oman Ghana ye nhihye mu a tomatoes ayedi no mu hamu nchemu beye eduosunum no ye kra edifi Burkina Faso memu na eba na wo bra Burkina mpanyifo si sa gina ye pe ena eku a ye from Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana for the nkrata ba bonten se yesi obi dwen wo no bi nso nkomu ayie ade bi se no na ne yie mu a na omode adwempo makomakom yensa bi ato abanim sabanhwe no fanya dwo betumi aboye pade di kan ene se ni manim yaaye no wo mo yes Peasant Farmers no abanhwe na wonso omase ni titiru aye irrigation insomro petepete wo tomatoes fu no so afi tomatoes aba betumi aso na tomatoes ne beche eno achi nso so betumi enya fertilizer ene niam ahodo betumi aboa omno mode aye omafuo de toso mienu nso no womo hwe kwan se aban betumi aboa se ne be ya besi ahodo a womo begide adwuma nyina na aban beta womachi afei ba bi ombaye tomatoes fu na kasa no aban bebo ochi dom no wotumi asase no aye tomatoes fu no na enu achi womo ye tomatoes no so wie so a aban betumi ato anase adwadifo ho anase atofo be ho na nkwankwa omoka anase so betumi anya coastal bi a entos no be ye nyina no se yantompa ye betumi de akwakogu wo na aboa ama yetumi anya yakase tomatoes afei womo san ehwe kwan se womo san aban se be ya abanhwe na ni titrupa ni irrigation se betumi ya irrigation dam akasa poalugu dam ya yaka wasam so ya sika kodi wa ya nyeyei ene dam sa hodo ni nyina saba betumi a wonhwe no fasika hyem na animanimu ya yenya ni nyina ene betumi aboa ama tomatoes akuafo betumi aye tomatoes afu afimu ni nyina enkonkofo ha obia ema ne se ne betumi aboa ama tomatoes nkwa kwa atwe esanse Burkina Faso so mo nton man ye bio no ni nyina eto ebetumi etwa ensem ye kuo no dwam tenanim owura wipia awal ado akugalawa ono ena ode sansem yi eto dwa yediesi
eja
anti yeko ano no yeko wo munya no mo tomatoes wonu se greater akredua tomatoes east edua ashanti edua vote edua northern edua
nti eso mo so
nti sisi yesu tomatoes ho kra nti we de Peasant Farmers no mo ya adwena ban enimanimu ya se ade bi se no na ne yie mua yen take advantage of this bebo an yie papa mi din de ja kwabene o mene
nana ekia kobi
ne de kasebo no ebremo ya tida am special eyes this way this fufu ni tabakwan se wo muso yase da mu nyina ase ama mo bi